What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. My name is Splat, and I will be your host today in the world of indie games here at the Nerd Castle. Today we're checking out Foundation. This is a game that I put 4 or 5 hours into in the past. Very, very fun game. In fact, this is probably one of the big up-and-coming city builders that you should probably be paying attention to. It's early access if you're into that genre. For fans of things like Banished, who were just kind of upset that that game stopped development and didn't keep adding new things, Foundation is barking up that exact same tree. It's a game where you are the king and you're orchestrating the construction of a city. And you just keep an eye on all of your citizens. You try to make sure that they're all prepared for. In a lot of ways, you're kind of like a rogue city-state, too, because as the game goes along, you will be able to form your own military. And as of right now, there's no, as far as I know anyways, the last time I played, there's no reputation between you and outside factions, but you can rent out your army as a mercenary force to other kingdoms when they're trying to maintain their campaigns. And so some very intriguing ideas going along with this game. And on January 23rd, about a week ago, they pushed out their most recent update. I haven't played this game in probably 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, so I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a bumpy running here. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go with a coastal kingdom. That sounds really rad. I want to be in a coastal kingdom. I live in a coastal kingdom. I'm next to San Francisco, you know what I mean? That's what I know. It's kind of that Mediterranean coastal type vibe. Now let's go ahead and start here. So here is our map. We start out with various cells, and we have choices to kind of grab these cells and keep them for ourselves. Our first one is a freebie. It's not going to cost us anything, so keep that in mind. It looks like we can't really colonize anything along the coast for some unspoken reason. I assume it's because coastal interactions with the AI and the little villagers may not be fully implemented, although there are fish over here. So it would stand to reason that maybe we could send out fishermen to do stuff like that. Let's find a nice, reasonably flat spot, and in fact, I would take this one right here if it would allow me to do so. Perhaps we just have to expand out in that direction. I don't know. But all the starting points are set right now, so I want to find one that's good. This right here actually looks pretty solid. I don't hate that. That's pretty flat, and it's got lots of trees we can mess around with. We also have one over here, which is reasonably flat, and also has a bunch of trees that we can play around with. I think, in fact, at some point, I may have played this map already. I don't think the maps are randomly generated in this game. I think they're the same every single time you play. And so let's go with this spot over here. This has lots of berries, and I'm stoked about berries. So this is now our land right here. We own this. This is the first little piece of our fief. And so we have a quest. We've got to build a city center. So I believe that we do that. And so there's our village center right there. I'll probably drop the village center right there. Looks good to me. And so now we have all of our villagers. And we'll want to start thinking about the stuff that we want to place. Obviously, we've got a lot of wood resources. So it'd probably be a pretty good idea to make sure we maintain that. We do have development zones right here, in case you don't know what those are. Effectively, this is us setting up the areas where they are allowed to gather from. Unfortunately, I can't put a gather order over there, but I would like to put a gather order right there to grab those berries, and I believe we can make this bigger and smaller, too. Yeah, by control mouse wheeling, if you wanted a little bit more control. And so what I would suggest is we just need to clear out some land. And so I'm going to do that right now. I don't want to right-click, but I do want to rotate. And I would like for all of these trees to kind of get lost. That way we can have like a nice little nook that we can put all of our houses in. Because there's not a lot of building space right now. We don't have a lot of equitable room. There's way too much of this. In geology, we call this organics. There's a few too many organics around here. We need a few more things that are dead and lifeless. Oh, yeah. All right, so the extraction zone has been set up. We can actually take off the painting tool now. I would suggest that we get ourselves a lumber camp. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll place this maybe, I don't know. We'll put this like right here. It'll be a good start. So the lumber camp is down. Now these guys should skip to Maloo and go ahead and take care of that. We can also put a gathering hut over here for the berries so that we can get those a little bit faster. Now, apparently it wants me to assign builders as well. As I recall, there is a population menu around here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Where we can start putting people into certain jobs. And so for now, we're going to throw a couple people into the builder role so that they'll go off and they'll get these buildings constructed. It is, after all, something that really, really needs to get done. And off they go. Perfect. I was waiting for that. You can see them carrying their little crates. They're going to go over. They're going to start hammering. They're going to start nailing, doing all that fun stuff. And we should end up with a brand new lumberjacking camp very, very shortly. I love the tree textures over here. They look so good when you zoom up in, and they look so good when you're zoomed out, too. Like these little, I guess these evergreen graphics right here, I've always liked them a ton in this game because, like, they maintain fidelity no matter how close that you are to them. And, like, a lot of games struggle with that. A lot of games look really good when you're zoomed out this far, but when you get in, they get a little bit jagged, they get a little bit rough. You can see, like, pixels in the textures or whatever. Like, they look pretty good regardless of where you're at. So the lumber camp is done. Gathering camp should be done very, very shortly. So what I would suggest is we'll keep you become a woodcutter. Go ahead and do that for me. Steven, you become a woodcutter as well. We can always reassign people to other jobs if we end up not needing them to do those things. One thing I would like to see is I would love it if they got different little outfits depending on what their jobs were. It'd be pretty sweet. If they were like a builder, they'd have little hammers and things hanging from their belt, maybe like a backpack, and like maybe a little pouch in the front that they like dig around inside of while they go to work. And then the woodcutters, you know, they'll just have like simple clothing, just some breeches, like shirtless with like an axe or something like that. Big beard they automatically grow the second you put them in that job role. Be pretty dope. Be pretty rad. Is that done yet? That really needs to get done. All right, so assign available villager to here. We can also assign available villagers very, very easily by just clicking on things. So you can click on this right here, and then you can just tell it to add more if you need it. What's the next thing we wanted to do? I don't know. We've got some options here. We've got a well, but we're going to need some stone for that. I would probably suggest that we find stone around here somewhere. And it does look like we have stone. You can notice that they're starting to dig paths in the grass right here. That's one of the major features of this game, is that you don't build roads. Your people do. And so they will find the most optimized path in between locations as they're trying to go about their daily work. And you'll naturally end up with kind of this town square with lots of tendrils coming off of it that you can play around with, which is actually pretty cool. Let's go ahead and we'll put in a little stonecutters cart right there. I'll probably only need like one stonecutter right now. I don't think we'll need that many of them, but our builders and whatnot will level up and become more efficient at their jobs as well. So we have a new quest for a granary. These guys are over here gathering and getting the job done, making sure that we have a little bit of food available. The reason why I'm going after the stone right now is that we're going to need a well pretty soon, because as you can see, this game uses a sort of Anno-style system where every single person has needs. They want water, they want food, and then when you fulfill that, they will upgrade. They will no longer be like a serf, they will then become a peasant. And once they're a peasant, they're going to want clothing on top of the water and the food. And then once you give them access to clothing, then they'll upgrade to, you know, like a citizen. And once they're a citizen, they're going to want access to wines and luxuries and things like that. And once you do that, they'll move up to noblemen, so on and so forth. Basically the exact same kind of hierarchy of needs system that Anno has used for a very, very long time in their games. So, we've got berries coming on in. We've got this cart being worked on over here, right? Isn't it? Is it being worked on? I see somebody hammering. There we go. I just wanted to see the meter increase. That's all that I wanted to see, is the meter increasing. The next land we'll probably buy will be this guy right here, even though we'll have a lot of unequitable space. Because I want this right here. We could put 2 gathering camps next to this, and this will be enough food to kind of forestall us having to create. We can basically live nomadic a lot longer off these berry bushes right here. It'll keep us from settling down and having to dive on into agriculture and farming, which can be very, very time-consuming and labor-intensive. Our stonecutter's cart is done. I don't think we have too many people to assign right now. Taking a look at our population list, we've got 1 free villager left. We may have to downsize a little bit, but we'll be able to gather stone from over here. I'm really hoping we can clear out most of this forest over the next little bit. We've already knocked back the forest a bit on this side. You can see that there's like a row of trees that have already been taken care of. So that's a really, really good thing. We've got 42 wood right now, but we don't really have any amazing places for us to stockpile it. And so my suggestion would be next we need to like kind of get a well going. I would suggest that we put the well about the center of town. That seems like kind of the best application to me. And so I'll put the well right there. That'll give people some water. As of right now, our villagers are pretty unhappy. If you take a look, they don't have access to food. They don't have access to water. but their happiness is actually not negative. It's just kind of like zero. Zero happiness allowed in my kingdom. Work to live, live to work. That's always been my motto ever since the Craft the World days, which, by the way, I think Craft the World had a new DLC too. Should probably go check that out, but I heard it's like a challenge map or whatever. It's not like a full content expansion. It's like a hard mode challenge map. But I haven't played that game in years, so I don't even know if that one's worth dusting off, in all honesty, with the learning curve that I might have to dive on into. We are going to need a lot more stone to get this done, and unfortunately, our stone cutter is going to take a little while to get it finished off. I don't even think they've brought back any stone yet. We are operating at a deficit right now, so they want me to assign a granary and then a transporter. I will get that done, I promise. Suppose I could do it now. Yeah, let's put the granary right there. There we go. We also have a granary now. This guy's going to hit a stopgap anyways because he doesn't have enough stone to finish working on that building. So, like, why stress about it? I would also suggest that maybe, just maybe, we take this builder right here and we reassign her to be a stone cutter. It seems like we only really need one builder right now. I don't think we need too many of them. And in the interest of expediency, I'm going to speed up the game real fast so that we can get ourselves all settled in and looking good. Come on, Granary. Get yourself constructed. Oh, he needs stone for that, too. So we're still waiting on stone, unfortunately. So until stone starts to happen, I think we're going to do a whole lot of sitting here. Oh, I didn't set up an extraction zone. That's the problem. I was trying to think of why it's not working. I didn't put in an extraction zone. There we go. Give you guys a little extraction zone right there that you can play around with. Perfect. Extraction zone done. Now they should hop to work. Exactly. There we go. I knew that there was a fundamental flaw in my production chain, and I couldn't figure out what I had forgotten to do. I knew it was probably something simple, and it was probably something stupid, because it's always something stupid and simple with me. Always. It always remains that way. Now that we have stone available, things should start getting a little bit easier. You can see these paths right here getting really, really well worn. And in fact, it's not just a textural change. It actually removes the grass. I do wish that it would remove trees that were kind of closer, but I get why it doesn't. Yeah, you guys are doing a good job over here killing off that forest. Really, really happy with all of you. Continue killing this off over here. The more forest you can murder, the happier I will be. Yep, just wipe it all out. This entire area, clear it. I'll probably push this back a little bit, but also maintain it, and we'll create like our own little tree farm over on this side, I think. But for now, we've got stone coming in, so we should see the builders kind of skip to Maloo pretty soon. In fact, he is. He's already brought over 3 stone. Good for him. Good for him. We are bleeding money a little bit right now. We'll be able to fix that really, really soon, though. It takes time. And obviously, these guys will get better at their job, too, as time goes along. She's already hit level 5 stone cutting. She's been doing this for like 1/8 of a second, and she's already like a grandmaster stone cutter. There we go. Get the well done so that we can gather water, and then we need like 5 more stone for over there. Pretty soon, they'll be producing more stone than we even remotely know what to do with. Trust me, I've played this game a bit. And even though it seems like it's going to be a little bit skimp at the beginning and you're going to kind of struggle for the resources that you have available, I promise you, as you get further on in, you will be swimming in resources and nothing to really spend them on. Apparently my builder's name is Henry. God be with you, Henry. It's Henry. Greetings, Henry. I missed that game. Kingdom Come Deliverance was one of those games that was like really, really, really good, but I feel like it never skyrocketed to like Skyrim or Oblivion levels of like meme potential. Like it was one of those games that was a really, really good game. The only issue I found with Kingdom Come Deliverance is that it was too easy to become overpowered once you figured out how the combat system worked. Is that all you needed to do was like use perfect parries and you could clear the entire game. Plate mail and perfect parries and you never have to worry about anything. Also, the combat, I think, was a little bit floatier and a little bit weirder than Mountain Blade. I feel like Mountain Blade did the directional combat a little bit better than Kingdom Come Deliverance did. But as far as world building goes, it was a really, really cool game. All right, so we'll assign a villager here. And then we need to assign berries over here. What this does is this gives us a distribution means. Effectively, you can think of this like a central repository for all of your goods. Once you have the goods inside of here, so this guy will take this transporter right here, he will take the raw resources from over here, he will drop them off inside of the stockpile, and then, if possible, he will take the food from here to the market so that people can eat. That's generally the flow of how things work. We can have a market. I think it's a really, really good idea because we're kind of bleeding gold right now, and I'd like to make a little bit of money. Luckily enough, that's what they want me to build next is a market, so we're going to do that. I don't know what the front of the market is versus the back of the market. It's got a little ball on it. There's a stool on that side, so I'm going to make an assumption that we can put that right there. But we do have to assign somebody to, like, tend that stall, so that's going to be our last worker just kind of sitting around, and then I think we're going to have to wait for a little bit of immigration, or we're going to have to take people off of raw resources. One of the two. Are we paused right now? I don't think we're paused right now. I think people are just, like, standing around doing whatever it is that they do. Oh, that's right. You got to click the start construction thing. I always forget about that. There we go. Start construction. I actually, the first time I played this game on YouTube, I was like, why isn't the stuff building? Every other building, there's kind of an idiosyncrasy in the UI, which there's a reason for it being there. But basically, some buildings you just click in place. Other buildings, they have like a blueprint, and that's because you can do add-ons with them, and you can add extra little bits and pieces to the building. So with the market, you can add stalls, you can add flair, you can add flags, and a bunch of other stuff to it to kind of draw the eye and get more people to come to the market. And all of the stuff that's modular that you can like piece together like Legos, that requires you to click on Start Construction before it's done, because there is the possibility that you will be placing multiple pieces before you finalize construction. But it definitely, it's like some buildings you just click and it builds. Other buildings, you got to blueprint them and then do Start Construction. And it's a little idiosyncrasy in the control scheme that, like, I understand why it exists. But at the same time, in a perfect world, every building in this game would kind of build the exact same way. So, like, my suggestion would be, like with the market, you just place it. And then if you click on the market, then you would go to, like, you know, a little menu that pops out over here for add-ons or whatever. But, you know, the developers probably know what they're doing better than I do. They're probably taking all kinds of, like, survey data and everything else. I'm just an overpaid idiot on the internet. Like, I can make suggestions and I can, like, notice little things, but there's never any assurance that I'm correct. I could be completely and totally wrong in this case. I found a lot of times when I have conversations with developers after the fact, like after I feature their game on the channel, and I'll kind of like talk about something in the UI, or I'll talk about something with the way that the game unfolds or functions or the pacing or whatever else, I find that many, many times there is a super logical, super creative explanation for why something works the way it does in the game, even though it seems at odds with, like, the way another building functions or another ability functions. And so, like, I've learned to kind of keep my ego in check when it comes to that kind of stuff. And you can make the suggestion, but you just got to understand that every now and again, you're going to look like a dummy and be like, oh, well, if I did that, then this system wouldn't work because this has to function like this. And you'd be like, oh, I get it now. I get it. Alright, so we will sell berries here so that we can finally make some money. And then we need a market tender. I think we will take off one woodcutter because we have plenty of wood for right now. And we will make that person a market tender. They've given us 100 gold for that. And that's really, really good because our daily balance right now is pretty bad. We are losing money at the moment. I don't like losing money. So, increase your population by maximizing your immigration probability. Okay. And then we've also got a quest completed right there. See that? He put 49 berries inside this stall right now. Now, whenever somebody's hungry, they will just go and get berries from there, and they will buy them for like $5. And now we have a means by which to enrich the kingdom. Essentially, we've created our own little market, and then we've put sales tax on things. Very nice. As far as development zones go, there's supposed to be a green one underneath this, and it says residential. I don't know if they moved that since the last time I played the game, but there was another option right here that used to allow me to paint a green zone where they were allowed to build houses. And I would like to build houses, but maybe it relies upon the fact, maybe that doesn't unlock until these guys upgrade to the next level by fulfilling all of their needs. I don't recall. We might be on a little bit of like a timer right now. So raise the village happiness to 75. Not really a whole lot I can do about that right now. And so we're just going to wait it on out. Ha ha! God be with you, Henry. 2 new immigrants have decided to join your village. Very nice. Very nice indeed. And so as you can see, well, I thought these guys upgraded, but I guess they didn't. A new system that they've added in with this patch, if you're wondering what's changed, is they've added in a system now where you see how we have workers inside this little gatherer hut? Before, in the previous iterations of the game, you would build all the housing over here, and these guys would have to walk a long way to work. But now what they've done is villagers will trade houses with other villagers, and they will barter and trade with each other over who gets to live where, based on proximity to their workplace. So let's say that I put down a bunch of houses over here, and everybody in town works at the houses over here, and then I build 2 houses over here. The stonecutters and the berry growers, they will either move out of the houses over here and move closer to their workplace, or if these have already been occupied by other workers, they will trade to the optimal efficiency between themselves to basically make it the most likely that they are all in the place where they need to be to get to work the fastest and get things done as efficiently as possible. Pretty cool stuff, right? Pretty cool stuff. We've got a wooden bridge right there. What else do I have? Stonemason set. Got 2 more villagers, which is really, really sweet. I'll probably assign one of the new villagers to there. And then I don't really know. We now have House, Rustic Church, and Lord Manor are now available. There it is. So now we have the residential zone. The kingdom has recognized your efforts in establishing your settlement. You have the following effect. They will promote your first newcomers. Very nice. All right. And so from the labor estate panel, there it is. We can unlock the warehouse, which we should probably do. So you have 3 different factions that you're trying to keep your reputation up with in this game. You've got the kingdom, you've got labor, and you've got the clergy. And so this is basically the common folk, the king, and the clergy is the way you need to think about it. Stuff right here will give you all kinds of new production buildings. Stuff right here in this research tree will give you all kinds of military buildings. So things, you know, like castles, things of that nature. And things with the clergy will give you churches and things to, like, soothe the souls of the people that live inside your village. We will call this a residential zone right here. Be forewarned, they don't always build things the way you want them to build things. I'm just letting you know, sometimes they don't build things in the places where you want them to be built. Like every now and again. Like if we keep that off the road right there, there we go. That looks better. And we can also minimize this extraction area now that it's all been mined out so that it just looks cleaner. There we go. Yep, keep it looking clean. Perfect. I don't like to have too many overlaps. And what will happen here is these villagers, you don't have to build anything. Once you make a residential zone, they will just build houses. That's it. If they need a house, they will begin the construction of one if the materials are available. So 6 villagers lack the space for housing. I assume they're going to get on that pretty soon. We might not have given them enough space to play around with that. I'll add another builder just in case. Sometimes they like to have wide open spaces in order to make their residential zones. Wide open spaces. There we go. Like, sometimes it's very, very oddly specific with how much space they want in order to build houses. You just got to kind of keep an eye on it. Are these still inside the radius of this woodcutter set right here? Hey, there goes our first house. Very nice. So they're putting down the first little village house. The one bummer about this is you don't get to control the facing of the house. Sometimes the facings are just, like, weird. They kind of make these weird little suburban sprawls all over the place that you just be like, no! Like, your inner city planner is like, I want everything to be neat and tidy. But actually, the way that they build in this game is kind of realistic based on the way that people used to do things in medieval times. If you look at the city layouts of places like London, or if you look at the city layouts of places like France and the things of Paris and the places surrounding that, you will notice that they are largely arranged somewhat snake-like and random around water sources. And in the UK, you tend to see that they're like concentric circles almost, moving from the top of the hill where the motte used to be, and down and around, and then kind of profligating and centralizing around whatever the nearest water source is. In the United States, it's very, very different, because the United States is actually a nation that started, in the 1700s is when most of our major city planning began. And so you've got like 900 years of city planning differences there. Like old cities like London and Paris and whatnot, they don't go anywhere. They stay in the same spot. And so they tend to get more organized and more neat the further you get out from the original spot where the settlement began, because you can watch the city planning kind of evolving throughout the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years as city planners and architects and builders get better at it and they start to realize what they should and shouldn't do. Here in the U.S., everything is neat and everything is rectangles and everything is squares because we used to use a thing for survey data called township and range, which effectively divides up the entire country into these little squares made up of squares that denote land ownership and who lives where and who owns what property so that everything kind of like fits. And that's one of the reasons why our cities are square-shaped and whatnot, and they tend to have lots of rectangles, squares, rhombi, all that kind of thing, when compared to older cities like, Moscow or Paris or London or, any of those places. But either way, in this game, it is realistic for the time period. They kind of just build where it's convenient for them to build and where the water sources and whatnot are. But yeah, if you're like me and you're kind of like obsessive in city builders, you may run into you just being like, no, stop building that right there. I don't want that right there. Please stop it. I'm going to go ahead and with the lumber camp, we're going to delete the lumber camp and we're going to move it inwards a little bit. So we'll put another lumber camp. Yeah, I was going to say they're running out of space over there, huh? All right, we'll put another lumber camp right there just to clear out the remainder of these trees. And in fact, I think we're going to have to ramp up our extraction along the road right here just to keep it nice and clear. This is where I'm planning on putting all my residential, but it's taking them a lot of time to get to it. It's taken a fair bit of effort to complete that task. There we go. All nice and taken care of, but this game is called Foundation. My name is Splattercat. Every single day I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie gaming so that you don't have to. I really appreciate you guys patronizing the channel and being here. Without you guys, I wouldn't get to exist. I also stream on Twitch TV/Splattercat Gaming every single day, so you can check that out. I also have a Discord channel that you can check out in the description down below where I do key giveaways every now and again. I'll just throw them in there whenever I have an extra key. Or I also announce all of my random, streams and stuff through there. There's also like Warhammer 40K chats and places where you can talk about games and post pictures of your pets and all that kind of fun stuff. But if you want to see more of this, you know what to do. Hit it with a like. Leave me some comments down below. Let me see the hype because that's how I judge what people are into, whether we move on to the next first impressions video or whether we keep something around for a little while. You guys did a fantastic job with This Land Is My Land, letting me know that you wanted to see more. And so anyways, Foundation is one of my favorite city builder games right now. This is one of those games that I'm very, very stoked whenever it comes out with a new update, and I hope that you're stoked as well. There's not enough, really solid city builders out there. There's some, but there could always be more. See y'all tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the skillet. Thank you for being here. Goodbye, everybody.